But let's talk about United in general. Sir Jim Ratcliffe in attendance for the first time since that 25% stake was confirmed. What do you think he made of it?
Well, I think he'll have seen his side probably outplayed for large parts of the game. Always looking at a threat on the counter with the pace that they've got going forward. The fact that they could have actually won it right at the end. McTominay with a couple of chances. There's some positives I'm sure he'll take from it. Hojlund, you know, a young man that's had a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, scoring his second goal. And it was a great finish. Rashford looking sort of back in form and sharp in particular in that first half. So there will be some positives to take from it, but I think he still knows that there's a lot to be done. I think another positive would be that the injuries starting to come back. I think Shaw and Martinez on that left-hand side, I think will be key for Manchester United in the second part of the season. So I think that's when we've got to judge them, when everybody's back fit and available. Are we then going to see this Manchester United style that we're all wanting to see? And are we going to start seeing them picking up results and moving their way up the table?
Yeah, we're still waiting for official ratification from the Premier League, but when he does take over football operations, right, list his priorities in order here.
It's going to be a long list. I think the big thing is that when you look at, as Sue's just said there, he's got this style of football that he wants to play, Ten Hag, and he said he hasn't got the players to play the way he wants to play. Now, is that the players because they've been injured, or is it just the players that are at the football club aren't good enough? Now, if he turns around to Sir Jim Ratcliffe and says, I want to play this style of football, but I need certain personnel to be able to do it, then does he go out and back him? Or does he actually look across into the other dugout and think, well, hang about, you spent close to £500 million already on players and we're not seeing anything from it. Postecoglou's come in 6 months and seen a complete change in fortunes, not fortunes, but a change in style, a clear way of playing. When they've bought players, you have to pardon my the new Tottenham sign. How do you say his name? It's
Radisson.
Yeah. They beat Bayern Munich to it. So suddenly you're now competing against the best teams in world football to get players. But is that because of a manager? Does he have a big decision to make with Ten Hag? There's so many things that he's going to have to look at when he comes in. I don't think he'll make wholesale changes straight away. I think if he's smart, which he obviously is because he's a very wealthy man, he will look at that and think, OK, I'm going to take a step back and look at things from a distance at the beginning and work out what needs to be done. I don't expect anything major to be done in the January transfer window, but I think come the summer, I think we could see a lot happen.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I think there's been a long period of time where I've certainly said, well, you can't see Manchester United style because of all of the injuries and the players missing. So it's difficult for Ten Hag to get that style maybe across to the players, the likes of Martinez and Luke Shaw, Maguire, those big sort of characters and leaders that can maybe play the way that he wants to play. We've sort of made excuses in a way, haven't we? But then you then look at Tottenham and you look at the way that Postecoglou's done it so quickly. I know it's a completely different team, and you know obviously the off the field stuff is different.
Yeah, but we sat here last year and said Tottenham can't play that way.
Yeah,
well,
and it just shows.
They quite clearly can.
Yeah, well, they had like so many key injuries yesterday, and yet the players that come in still play the way they all know how. So then something has to be done and has to be done pretty quickly.
I think there's another side of it as well, Rob, where you look at Spurs as well. I'm only referencing Spurs because they played against them yesterday. Stadium, training ground. Straight away you look at that and you go, I know Gary Neville keeps going on about it, saying like it does need to get better. It does. Long term, it does need to get better. But we've seen what Spurs have done, and that does attract players. It really does. To play in a stadium like that, I love going there and working on football at the Spurs stadium. I think it's magnificent as a spectacle, as the way it's set up. Imagine playing there as well. That will draw players.
Mm. So Ten Hag then, what does he need to do to convince him that he is the right manager then to be at Manchester United?
I think that there's a lot of things. I think results is obviously the main thing, isn't it? I think that's what you look at. You look at results, you then look at performances, you then look at, is there a style of play, that what we were going on about. But I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe knows that it's a long-term job. You know, he's in it for the long haul, that there's a lot of things to be done. He's got to look at every department and say, okay, is this right? How we're doing it? What's the plan moving forward? Have we got the right people in? And they're all of the things that he's got to do. But for Ten Hag, it's about the results and the performances on the pitch. That's what he has to focus on. Can he develop players? And yes, it's all right bringing players in, but the players that are already there, again, we're only referring to Postecoglou and Tottenham because that's who they played against. But we've already seen development in players there, and that's, as a manager and a coaching team, that's what you have to do. So get those players playing the way that you want to play, and let us all say, OK, that is the style of Manchester United. Because at the moment, we don't know what it is. They're better at counter-attacking, but we don't see that all the time, do we?
But on the flip side of things, he's got a really good record statistically.
Yeah, he has.
It's like in around 50% of win ratio.
Yeah.
Now, that is exceptional for a manager, whereas we're all judging him because of last season was great.
Yeah.
You get a top 4 finish, you get to get to cup finals, 2 cup finals, win a cup as well along the way. We all expected them to challenge for the title this year. What we didn't see was teams improving the way that they proved in so dramatically. But the other side of it is that they've done okay in the Premier League, but they haven't in Europe and in the Carabao Cup. They've been, I mean, in the Champions League, they were terrible. I mean, they should have got out of that group comfortably and they didn't. So we're judging them on that as well. Whereas if you actually look at the Premier League on a whole, they've still got a chance of getting in the top 4. It's not out the realms of possibility. They can do it.
Yeah.
So it's the style more than anything that we're judging him on. And that's because we've seen such a stylish team at Ajax.
Yeah.
So he's tarnished with that. With his own success at Ajax.
And because it's Manchester United, they get scrutinised, don't they?
Yeah.
Every little thing gets scrutinised.
That's the deal, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Hold that thought about top 4. We'll come back to that in a bit, because if they're to get top 4, surely they're going to need goals. Marcus Rashford scoring his first Old Trafford goal since May. That was against Chelsea. That's more than 16 hours of football. Was this the best you've seen of him? And how much of this is about confidence, and what will this do to that?
Yeah, well, I think we looked at his form last season and we said the amount of goals and just the confidence that he was playing with in front of goal, you know, really helped Manchester United to get to that level where we then all thought that they were going to kick on this season, and that never quite happened. And yeah, we've kept saying, you know, we're not seeing that same Marcus Rashford this season. So it was actually really nice to see that in the first half. He looked sharp, he was looking to stretch the play, he was looking to get on the ball and create things. And then that goal was brilliant, you know, lovely little 1-2 and then through the defender's leg. So yeah, you just think, you hope that will spark Marcus Rashford into life. Easy for me to say that one.
Spark Marcus. Marcus. That famous Roman emperor. Okay. And we're also seeing goals now for... Here's the thing, Rasmus Hojlund. Okay, and I don't know if I'm the only person on the planet. You've got to have some sympathy for him. He's so young, coming into Manchester United, expected to deliver goals all the time. But is he finding his feet now and his confidence?
Yeah, and he's understanding the league and the speed of the league and the pressures that come in playing for Manchester United as well. They're a huge football club. The big price tag that was put on his shoulders as well. There's a lot of talk of why didn't we go and get Harry Kane, and suddenly you're reading those little bits and snippets and you're thinking, am I really the right man for the club? Am I the right fit? And is this what I should have done at this age in my career? And absolutely it is. And I think we know that he's got quality, but also as well, you've got to get players up in and around him. Yeah. You've got to provide for him. You've got to be getting crosses into the box or finding the runs that he's making. He's a very intelligent footballer. So yeah, I'm pleased for him, because no one wants to see a footballer going through tough times like that.
Yeah, okay, so they are 7th, 8 points off the top 4. Let's come back to that. Now we've discovered they're finding some goals. But it's not just about the 8 points. 8 points, you think, okay, 3 wins with a bit of change. Surely that can be done. The problem is that they'd have to climb over West Ham, Tottenham, Arsenal as well. So can they do that?
They can. Will they? I'm not so sure they will now. I just don't think they're consistent enough to do it. But what they can do is that they can get as close to it as possible and show signs of progression and improvement towards the second half of the season. And I think that in itself could be enough for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to go, OK, what do you need now? What do you want in this transfer market in the summer to improve us, to get better, to show what we're capable of doing more consistently over a full season? They are capable. I think the big thing for me is that when you've got Marcus Rashford in the team, yes, he hasn't performed this season, but glimpses of what he does yesterday is the reason you always give Manchester United a chance, because you think they can win a game out of nowhere when they're not playing well because of players like that. But they'll have to go on a run of probably 7 or 8 unbeaten with all victories. Do I think they can do that? I'm not so sure at the moment.
I've got to agree. I think it's that inconsistency. I think one week we'll say, we're really starting to see Manchester United come into form. I think when they came back against Aston Villa, and then the next week they lost to Nottingham Forest. So it's getting those consistent performances. But I do think having players back fit, I think, is important, especially Martinez, Luke Shaw. I think that's certainly going to help them on that left-hand side and build them from the back if that's what they want to do. But it's keeping everybody fit, available, getting that confidence. If Hojlund can go on a really good run now, that will certainly help Manchester United. But I think Gary Neville made a really good point with him yesterday where he said he should be working with an experienced striker. And you think as a young player like that, that's what you need, isn't it? You need somebody to maybe take that sort of the pressure off you. He's the one that will start a lot of the games. You can learn off him in training and then come on and make an impact. But really, it's all down to him to score the goals.